Wait, we should all try and like harmonize.
Oh no, I've never. Should I go higher? Like, I need to go at a different pitch.
Yeah, try doing low. Hey everyone, what's up? How's it going? It's your favorite speed cubing podcast back at it again, Overinspected. It's here with me, Manu. I have Carrie right here in the flesh.
I'm in the flesh, yeah.
We actually didn't explain this last week.
We didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah, but Carrie is here, so like, yeah, two of us are here. And then of course we have the lovely Michael Chai on Discord with us. As always, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well.
I'm doing well. Manu gave me some water, so I was extremely dehydrated last time. Like my mouth was shriveling up, and now it's like fully moist.
Well, see, there you go, listeners. Hope this is your call to action. Go get a glass of water, I guess.
Drink water.
People comment down below the rating for Manu's intro. I give it out a solid B-, dude.
I think it was good.
That's it.
The B- is like okay.
You almost called Carrie me.
I was.
That was
Here's
close.
Chai.
I was close. I was close.
Oh, almost there. I was there.
I didn't notice. I honestly didn't notice.
I almost.
I was gonna give it a B+ because I feel like that's at the level where it's like I don't notice anything wrong, but it's also not like
it's not like over the top.
It's not like earth-shatteringly new or good. Or,
yeah, of course. I mean, I'll take it.
No, we don't have to critique your intro in the episode. I think.
See, okay. Well, two things. First of all, this opens up a new field, a new possible episode. Best Overinspected intros tier list. Great idea. We were already thinking of doing a Overinspected tier list episode at some point or another, but that's a good one. We could do that. And then here's the real stinger, right? So would you say that my intro might not have been that unique, but today we're gonna talk about some of the most unique competitions that the WCA has held. Official competitions, by the way. Come on, you guys are like shaking your head.
That was good. I gotta give you that one.
I feel like my segues are some of the best segues.
Okay, no, that was a good segue.
Give me a grade on that segue, both you guys and in the comments below, please.
I'm gonna give it a simultaneous A and F at the same time, fused.
What?
Because like, they're fused. Like
I did better than that.
Okay, fine. Just pure A. Is that what you want?
There we go.
I'll give that an A-, and the only reason I say A- is because in the previous episode you actually did a great segue, like at the end of the Legendary World Records episode.
Okay,
that one is your A+ one. That was legit.
I'll agree with you on that one. That one was really smooth. If you didn't see that one, please go back listen to it. I did a great job. I'm patting myself on the back for that. That was great.
So but this one will be A-.
Okay, sure, whatever. Anyway, cutting all this nonsense out. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of the episode. Most unique competition experiences. By this we mean official WCA competitions, but are a little bit different. You know, most competitions you go to, you know, there's like the stage, you go up and compete. There's maybe a smattering of different events. People compete in each event. The winners, you know, they compete in finals. They get little trophies. Maybe sometimes they get certificates. Sometimes they get cash prizes, and that's it. You know, everyone goes home at the end of the day. But there are also some, shall we say, eccentric competitions out there that have kind of bent the mold a little bit. But before we do that, I think we should discuss a little bit about what makes these competitions possible. Because one thing is, you know, yeah, it's cool to have like crazy competitions, but the issue with having crazy competitions is sometimes they get too crazy and we can't serve all the members of the community. For example, we don't want to have crazy competitions that only maybe 10 or 20 people can attend if there are hundreds of people that are waiting to compete. But the great thing that happened recently is the bane of many organizers' existence, the proximity rule. The WCA proximity rule has changed. Chai, would you like to explain what has changed about the proximity rule?
Yeah, so the proximity rule is part of the WCA competition requirements for the teams to approve before, you know, the official posting and the announcement of the competition that we have. And the proximity rule is based off of distance and time elapsed from a previous nearby competition. So the old rule that was in place was competitions could be essentially approved based off proximity alone if there are no other competitions within 100 kilometers driving distance from the next competition in the past or in the future as well, and is 100 kilometers driving distance from the next competition. So if it's like 200 kilometers away, you could have a competition regardless of the date. And then it had to be at least 19 days away if it was within 100 kilometers driving distance. Right. So if it was like 200 kilometers away, you could have one competition on Sunday, and you could have another competition on the very next Sunday. But if it was like 50 kilometers driving away, you'd have to wait almost 3 weeks, the next 3 Sundays, to host that competition. So obviously this is a rule in place to... You could argue for a lot of reasons why this rule was in place, but essentially it was a limiting factor for the frequency of competitions. I don't think... It definitely doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that.
Yeah.
Now, the WCA, they recently amended the competition requirements, and now you can have a competition be approved based off proximity if there are no other competitions within 10 kilometers driving distance and less than 5 days away. So you can essentially host a competition once a week.
Every week,
in
yeah.
your local community.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. It means a lot for the frequency of competitions. Now you could argue the benefits, the pros and cons, but the facts are the facts. This is what we can do now. So I guess, like Manu mentioned, and you can take it away after this. This is kind of the incoming rise of all these crazy things happening, all these crazy competitions.
Right. And remember, though, this is, I think it's a good change because it just allows more people to compete, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you might be, a speedcuber waiting to compete for months, right? A competition finally opens up in your area, and the worst thing you find out is you can't go because you're busy that day. No one is there to drive you, or you have some other engagement and you just can't go. So you have to wait
like another 6 months or something.
I mean, at the minimum, you have to wait at least 3 weeks for maybe that venue to host it again. But sometimes that's not going to happen. You have to go somewhere else. It just becomes a pain. But this way, it just gives more opportunities for more people to compete, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I saw people discussing the pros and cons of it because even if they didn't believe it one way or another, it's, I guess, sometimes fun to play devil's advocate. And someone was saying that the reason why there was a proximity rule is that they didn't want to have a delegate just hosting like a competition at my house 1, 2, 3, 4 every single week, because then they don't become like noteworthy enough events for people to like break out their cubes for the first time in years and like practice for. But I think the people running the competitions will try hard enough to make each one distinct in its own way, that they will still make the news somehow.
Exactly. Yeah.
By the way, and this is credit to the organizer and the delegate, but this is also credit to the WCA for creating the right structure for that. Like, we have a WCA competition announcement team. Right. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, if a competition looks sus, it'll get rejected, right?
Yeah. Well, that's true. It's like, it's not just a automated system.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You can't
the WCA created the system for it.
Yeah, you can't just be Joe Schmo and say, I'm going to host a competition every day with only registration limit as 1, and it's just going to be me because I'm the delegate and I'm the competitor. You can, like that is just going to get shut down instantly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are like checks behind this. And the thing is, I think most people in the WCA competition and organizers are generally, we have good faith among them, right? The whole goal is to like try and spread speed cubing. So, that's what we do. But that's actually a great thing that you mentioned at-home competitions, because at-home competitions have actually been done for a long time, and they actually haven't really slowed down. In fact, you guys are actually listening to one of the people who's held the most, probably some of the most competitions in their house ever. So I've actually had 3 competitions held at my place of residence, 2 when I was in college, and then 1 last year. I think it was I don't remember, BASC 25 maybe? It was no, it must have been BASC, I don't remember. But it was it was held on 6th. It was, funnily enough, it was held on June 25th. That was back when I was still living. Yes, that's back when I was still living with Chai. We held a competition. And if you're wondering like what those competitions are like, the ones that are at home, they're extremely chill. First of all, because we're holding it at someone's residence, usually they can't have the same number of competitors. So usually that means that like we can only have like somewhere between like 10 and, I mean, if you have a really big space, maybe you could have 20. The other problem is a lot of times we can't have outside comps. We'll get to the outdoor comps later also. But you can't have outdoor comps because of weather. If it's raining, well, what are we going to do? We have to cancel the comp. That's kind of silly. I think WCAT generally wants to prevent things like that. Or at least they want to see that you have some sort of plan of action for that. So because of that, you can't have that many people. And a lot of times what happens with these is they end up being these competitions that we call PBQs, please be quiet competitions, which generally have a lot more of the quiet events, as the name would suggest. So we're talking FMC, that's basically just a test. It's an hour-long test. Everyone has to be quiet anyway. Big blinds are another very common one. You gotta be quiet during those. Multi-blind is often held. 3-blind tends not to be held, mainly because if 3-blind were held, then there's probably too much demand, and the space can't really accommodate for that. But most speed cubers, they don't really care about big blinds. They don't care about multi-blind. If you really think about it, right? Who wants to go compete at a cubing competition and then just sit there for an hour doing an exam, right? Like FMC is literally an exam. So because of that it tends to be like these types of events, which sometimes go underrepresented. There are people in the community who want to compete in these events, but sometimes they're hard to hold during like normal competitions because everyone has to be quiet, or there's some other restrictions. For example, multi-blind, right? If you have someone like Graham Siggins who lives in your area and wants to compete, obviously wants to compete in multi-blind, you need to take the time out to scramble those cubes. You could be using that extra hour to do something else, another event. Maybe you just don't have the staff for it. Anyway, there's many reasons why you would hold it, but yeah. So I've held 3 of them. Actually, another interesting fact about one of the ones that happened at my house. The last competition that was held in, I believe, the last competition that was held in NorCal actually in 2020 was at my residence in Berkeley.
Like that competition sticks really clear in my mind because that's the last time I saw a real human that wasn't my family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For I guess a year. I don't even know.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, that was March 14th, 2020. Everything was shutting down by then. We had to put in like emergency COVID protocols and stuff.
And we mentioned it, or I mentioned it in the Preetham guest episode, but that competition was the unofficial birth of CubersLive.
Yeah.
Me and Preetham were talking about some sort of live competition stuff. So a lot of good.
That was a turning point. A lot of projects ended, a lot of projects began.
Yeah, I mean, it was a turning point for the whole world, really. March 2020, well, at least for the United States.
Yeah. I know, everyone always says March 13th as, the last day they went to school. Except...
because it was a Friday.
Yeah. Well, I know that, for my college, they let us out a week earlier, so...
Right, I think that happened for us, too.
Yeah, I think the colleges were, more gung-ho about it than the high schools.
Right. Yeah. I remember it was very weird walking through the town at that time. It was just barren.
The thing about the 625 competition, the Please Be Quiet competition that held at this location, what I find very interesting was it kind of ties into the abuse policy that we were mentioning a little bit earlier with the competition announcement team. We call them WCAT for short, by the way, if you're listening. So our competition, right, we held 4-blind, 5-blind, multi-blind, FMC. The reason at the end of the day why the house is allowed is because the house was expected to host the demand of the events. We didn't expect much more demand than the competitor cap that we set for it, which was 12. However, upon submission, I don't know if I even told you this, Manu, but actually the competition was almost rejected because WCAT looked at our region and it was too vibrant, too many competitors, and it was almost rejected because they thought that this facility wouldn't be able to accommodate the new demand of PBQ cubers. And honestly, in a way, it's true. And how do you figure that out? You figure that out by having a wait list.
Right.
We had 7-8 people on the wait list. So unfortunately, I don't think it'll happen exactly in this house again. It will definitely get rejected. but it's just an interesting tidbit.
We could do it.
Yeah,
you could throw your bet out. You don't need that.
I might have to, talk to Wilson, get a couple favors in. Definitely not going to, this is not mafia work, guys.
Sneak in some money. You could just build a new annex, cubing annex.
So if you want a real world representation of what WCAT does and how proximity and how like at-home competitions kind of work, WCAT almost rejected our comp because of capacity. But we still got it approved at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We were able to convince them that 12 competitors, not much more.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe a couple.
Yeah, exactly. And no guests, obviously, because we just can't afford. We did have a cat as a guest though, which I guess was kind of cute.
Oh, that's true. Well, one thing I was gonna ask. Wait, I forgot my question already. Oh yeah, when it comes to a private residence, you can't post the address.
That's right.
Online. For safety reasons.
Yeah. So instead what we do is that and the website allows for this actually. So you can just put private residence, and when you send the competitor email out, because as the organizer you can see all those emails, you can send the address in that email. Yeah. So it helps keep it private.
Yeah, and I think that because the PBQs are so small, you generally know all the competitors personally.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can kind of trust that they're not some wacko person who wants to create chaos.
Exactly, and that goes into what I was going to say next. Is what I really love about doing these at-home competitions is that generally the people who come up to these, you're not going to have a first-time speedcuber come to any of these, right? It's just not good for your first experience. And most of the people who come are veterans, and people, if you're also a veteran in the community, then it's people like you've interacted with for years, and so it's just fun it's just a bunch of friends get together. A lot of times we don't even make money from these competitions because it's just giving back to the community. We get to hang out with friends. We got free pizza though, and we were able to do that by the competitor registration fee, which I think was really cheap too. It was only $10 registration fee.
And some people the prize they get is their very first 5-blind single.
Right, which is huge, obviously.
Yeah, that's worth more than the $10 fee or free pizza.
Way more.
Yeah, I can't even put a price tag on that.
I kind of want to talk about, I wouldn't say it's a unique competition, but I just kind of want to throw it in there because I wanted to give a huge shout out to our friend Chris. But I wanted to talk about maybe implementing not just competitions themselves on the day of, maybe it's a 2-day competition, but having a little bit more creativity with how you engage your community. I wanted to shout out Chris because Chris has been at the forefront of the last 2 out of the 3 competitions that have been hosted in Hawaii.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
And in both of those, Chris actually led a day prior meet and greet with all the local cubers. And I thought that was really cool because you had a really good opportunity to kind of get to know each other and ask all these questions that you would during a regular competitor tutorial. But in the Cube Meetup, get to hang out. I mean, we were just hanging out a couple weeks ago as a Cube Meetup. So I'd imagine it's, as the competitor who's never been in the competition before, getting to see all these people that have speed cubes just like you. And I just think that's a really, really fun way to nurture and tell people that we're fun. We have a good time together,
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that happened. But...
A lot of delegates don't do that, and myself included. Maybe the community is too small, maybe it's too large, one reason or another. But yeah, shout out to Chris, man, because he did that for Hawaii the last 2 times, and I really think that's something that's worth doing for certain communities.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially as a new speedcuber, so that's another thing I think why Hawaii was particularly cool, because I think most of the competitors there were new speedcubers. They had never competed before because of pandemic or whatever reason, right? So as a new speedcuber, if basically no one else in the community, and so you have no idea how many people are out there, right? There are more kids out there just like me, or more people out there who just really like playing with these plastic puzzles, and some people make a hobby, some people make a living out of this stuff, right? So I think doing it as a Cube Meetup is a nice informal way to do that, where it's it's set aside from the pressures of competing, and it's more it's kind of giving everyone a level playing field, I think, of some sense. It's here's this thing that you can all talk about, and just go have fun with it, meet new people, ask questions, get involved in the community, and at the end of the day, it's what the WCA's goal is. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also going to say that I think if you're a new cuber and you go to a competition, like the veterans, especially if they have world records, can seem very intimidating, and maybe you'd think like, oh, they're practicing and I don't want to distract them, so there isn't really an allotted time where you feel like you're supposed to be
Right.
like bothering them. And I definitely got that feeling at my first competition, because Noah Arthurs was there and he was sort of like on track to get like a, I don't know, world record
for a 3-blind.
for 3-blind, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I will say that Noah was really friendly though, because he did talk to me, but I did think that like, since I didn't know anyone else
It's
there,
your first impression, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you just have no idea.
yeah. But I just remember like when you start to get to know more people, it makes it easier and easier to get to know.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like a snowball effect. But if you have the meet and greet, it kind of you get to skip that.
It's
first
a jump
stage.
start, if
It's
you
a
will.
jump start. Yeah.
Right. You get to see like, oh, like, you know, oh, who are you? Where are you from? What's your favorite event? How long have you been doing this? And then you get to see them the next day. And it's like, okay, well, how did it go? And things like that. Let's exchange phone numbers. I think back in the day we used to exchange email addresses.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays people
So-
probably don't even exchange phone numbers. They probably
I
just
can-
give their handle on Insta or something.
Oh yeah. Here's my
So I
Discord
can think of
username.
some instances as a cuber that was pretty crazy, and then highlighting the importance of maybe meet and greets or having a more tight-knit community or a way in aside from the World Cube Association. Of course, you know, WCC, we're trying to maybe branch out a little bit more. Join the Discord server if you haven't already. Maybe we'll add it to the description for
Yeah.
West Coast Cubing. But I was hanging out with Wilson, right? He visited from Indonesia for a few weeks. We went out to Boba twice. And both times we met kids with cubes. Never been to a competition. And like, it was really hard to convince them, like, hey, you should totally go to a competition. But, you know, we were hanging out, talking. And then, you know, me, you know, I work in retail. And I was talking to some customers. And lo and behold, another customer walks in with a freaking Rubik's Cube. And he's a speed cuber. He carried a Ganai carry, by the way. And I was like, is that a Ganai carry?
Wow.
A Ganai carry is great. Don't get me wrong. I just thought it was strange to see that cube in the wild.
In the wild,
then-
yeah.
And then he was surprised that I saw it was a Ganai carry. And I told him that. I was like, oh, shoot.
It's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, as soon as
And
you
then
say that was
he's-
that again I carry, you know that that person is like
Yeah.
deep into
You're legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's never been to a competition as well. And I'm like, what? And this has all happened in the last 6 months or so. I hire someone to work for me, right? Their brother is a speed cuber. And
That's crazy.
I know, it's crazy. And they're a speed cuber. Guess what? Never been to a competition. Average is like 17, 18 seconds. And I'm just like, what in the heck? There are so many new cubers that don't even know the WCA exists. And as a delegate, I know there are already a ton of new competitors. And to know that there's more, insane. It's just, yeah, mind-boggling. And by the way, I just found our local college has a Rubik's Cube, a Rubik's Cube club.
Are you talking
They're
about
speed cubers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I found I have a local college nearby, and they have a speed cube club.
Oh,
They
meet
every Friday or
really?
something.
we're not talking about Berkeley, are we?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're talking about, but
And-
you're talking about like much closer to you, right?
Yeah, and I'm just like, what in the heck? There are so many cubers I've never competed before.
And these are all
Like, I
cubers that
reached-
like you didn't know either, like personally.
No,
I didn't know
I
anyone
don't
who
know
went
any
there
of
at
them.
least.
I don't know any of them.
So that's like
So
a whole
it just goes-
isolated
yeah.
bubble. It's like
Yeah.
Yo,
It
you know
just
what?
goes
You know
to
what this
show.
sounds like? We gotta get them to, if they're like
on
an
this
official club.
podcast.
Well,
Oh, I already reached out to them. Don't
yeah,
worry.
exactly. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're handsome,
I already
man.
reached
You're
out to
having
you. I already-
Scout is
yeah,
down.
yeah.
It's like you're coming with me.
Yeah, I already reached out to them, you know, for competitions in the future, but it just goes to show at the end of the day, man, there's so much that cubing has to offer. There's so many cubers that are not a part of the WCA community yet.
Yeah. I think like when I started cubing in high school, like I had been cubing for 2.5 years before I went to a competition. But I remember like when I started cubing, my only goal was to get faster than the fastest kid in my school.
Classic.
His name was
Yeah.
James, and he averaged 45.
Okay.
So it's like that seems like super easy to beat now. But like I thought he was just like the best in the world.
Right, of course.
Yeah, so it's like you live in these like isolated like bubbles
Yeah.
of your high school, and then you don't think to reach out until someone from the outside
Exactly.
tells you like there's a bigger world out there.
Exactly. And this is, you know, the same vein, but like it even like collegiate cube clubs, I think it's kind of a thing of the past now. Like, but I remember when Stanford Cube Club, Caltech Cube Club, those used to be really big. Berkeley Cube Club is still carrying that on, and it's still crazy like how many new cubers get exposed, or like how many new cubers A, they get exposed, and B, how many new cubers are like kind of created from just like these club interactions. You know, people who have been cubing but never thought to compete. They didn't know that like speed cubing was like a thing, that people actually did this. I mean, reasonable enough, you know, it is very niche. So
also, I don't know, Manu, did you actually register in time for that one competition you were talking about? The camping competition.
Like, let's talk about the camping.
Was that the one like it's in Southern California?
Well, yes.
Did you register?
So I can't go. Okay. So let me talk about the camping competition. So the camping yes, you heard me right. A camping competition. This competition is happening outdoors. I don't remember the exact name of the competition. It's gonna happen on the 18th of March. So I think when this episode comes out, that's like 2 weeks after. Actually, 2 weeks is exactly right, by the way. I will say. Anyway, that competition is happening in Southern California. I think Matthew Dickman is at least one of the delegates for it. The competition is very cool. I think it's really cool. I've never seen anything like this done before. Basically, the competition is actually going to start, I think, like late afternoon. And you know, before and stuff, it's going to take place at a campsite first of all. So and it's like one of those campsites where you can bring like your RVs in, right? So you bring like your RV or whatever in, and then you can set up your tents or whatever. The competition is going to be held at that campsite, and I think it starts like mid or late afternoon. So usually competitions start in the morning, right? And before that, you know, you can do all like your fun camping things, and then the competition is going to happen. I don't think it'll have many events. I think it might just have 3x3 or something. But they're going to run the competition, and then, you know, they're going to break for dinner in the middle, which I think is really funny because usually we break for lunch. But there's going to literally be a scheduled dinner break. And I think after that, there's a bunch of other activities that are planned. They might be planning a hike, I think, maybe the day after. I know they're planning stargazing that night too.
Ooh.
Which is so cool, right? Like, imagine going to a comp and going stargazing on the same, like, you know, as part of like the competition experience. Like,
do you know if they have like,
that's cool.
If it's a 2-day comp, we're on the second day.
So I think it's only 1 day.
Because I thought that like when I saw that competition, they said something about like plan to stay here overnight.
So I think you do need to plan to stay there overnight, and I think they have things planned for the next day, but
not
I think
competing.
they're not competing.
Okay.
Yeah,
but still, like.
But I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to like kind of combine like, you know, going camping, which I think is kind of just a cool thing to do from time to time, and competing. It's SoCal, right? So the weather is going to be presumably pretty nice. It'll be nice and warm there, and yeah. So I think it's really cool. I can't go to this competition, unfortunately. I have other things planned, unfortunately, for 3/18. I'm actually going to a different competition that day. I think that one is going to be in Berkeley, and the only reason I'm going to that one and not this one, that one has 5-blind. I need my 5-blind.
It's BASC 43, right?
That one is 43. That's correct. Yeah.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wish I could go to the camping comp though. It would be so exciting.
Wait, now you're kind of persuading me. Like, I haven't signed up for that one. Maybe it's too late.
You should go.
Well, I mean, I think I also signed up for the Berkeley one on the same day.
Oh, you mean the camping one?
Well, no, I'm saying I signed up for the Berkeley one, but not the camping one.
But I'm persuading you to sign up for the camping one.
Well, by you talking about how cool it is to go like on a hike.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's cool.
I am thinking, you know, the Berkeley one is only nice because it's like local, and I already have my 5-blind results, so like that to me is not a draw.
You should go to the camping comp vicariously for me. You can go and compete in my name.
Think.
Oh shoot!
Actually,
yeah, okay.
Think about it like this. Like, if you register for
yeah.
that competition, you're just having a nice, you know, a date night with Matthew Dickman.
But doesn't he have like 30 other dates? Like
that? I mean, yes, and he also has a wife.
But like,
you know,
shoot! Look, hold on. Like,
is the wife gonna be there?
Look, man.
Maybe she'll be there.
I mean, look, man. It's just date night with Matthew Dickman. I mean, I love Dickman.
I'm game for it.
Yeah, he's my boss.
Oh, that is true. He is your boss.
Does he have 30 other dates? Maybe, but it's besides the point.
Yeah,
he'll make time for you.
Yeah.
He'll make time for you, Carrie.
Yeah, 2 days. You split up the time. It's like half an hour per person. That's enough to get the job done.
Yeah,
that's enough to get the job done, bro.
yeah. I mean, I haven't gone camping since I was like in middle school. It's been a while.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I don't know. So
I guess it depends on like what your definition of camping is.
Oh, I remember what it's called. It's called, I think it's Cube Intense or Camp Intense 2023 or something like that. Whatever. You can look it up. It's on the WCA page. It's official. It's actually happening. I think it's really cool and very, very unique.
Yeah.
Definitely fits the bill.
I was gonna say like like if you go to that competition and like 100 competitions in standard venues, you'll still remember the camping competition.
Easily. Like
Wait,
I've been to I think like 54 competitions, right? And it's like, I have a general idea of like, oh yeah, they were in this venue or that venue, but not many of them like stand out as much. The PBQ wouldn't stand out because they were in my house. But like, I think if you're gonna go and compete, then, and you've already, you've competed in like the normal venue, then I think just doing it in like a different setting, I think would just be really cool.
Okay, then I'll drop Berkeley, or was it BASC 43? And...
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yes, you should report about it on the
next podcast.
On the next podcast.
Yeah, which might be like 4 or 5 episodes down the line.
It'll be
actually quite a few because
it's like almost a month from now.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely love to hear about that. We should also do a travel.
I should vlog it.
Oh, you should totally
travel vlog.
You could stream it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know because it'll be in the wilderness, so I don't.
Actually, you should vlog it and then we can post it, or you can post it.
Oh yeah, I mean I have a speedcubing channel.
Yeah. You can post it onto there. We can point people your direction. Although I don't know, we'll point 3 people that way maybe.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I'll make some content out of it.
Yeah. It'll be cool.
Yeah, but
Wait, Harry, did you go to the UFC boxing event?
Yeah, I was gonna say like I see that one on the list, and I also feel like I went to that one.
Yeah, tell us about it.
I should talk about that one because I don't think either of you went, right?
Yeah, we didn't go, so tell us about it.
So it was like right around New Year's, and Calvin Nielsen wanted to have a competition on a boxing ring and then have the 2 fastest one-handed solvers actually box each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that he was like sort of like half joking about it. But I guess I can say who won because it's like the records are there. Like Isaac Langer and what's his name, Daniel Mullen, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
They got the fastest results, and I think that's what was expected to happen anyway because they're over 18, and I think they know each other pretty well. So they actually did box it, and I was live streaming it, and they went pretty hard. Like.
Yeah, I think I saw some of the footage after.
Yeah, and like people were like falling over, and cubes got knocked out of other people's hands.
So I guess to note, so they're not just like normal boxing. They're OH boxing.
Like I guess to clarify, the way you win this sort of match is you finish solving your cube first. So the only reason the boxing exists is you want to like deter your opponent from, making progress on their cube. So, like, I did think that, like, if I were in the ring, I would just run away from the other person and then do OH, because I'm not the type of person to protect. Like, I'm a more defensive person than offensive. But, like, I think that they were also putting on a show for all the kids.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like competing in the octagon?
Well, like, the actual solving stations were on the octagon itself, and I thought it was going to be like a trampoline, really bouncy.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's like quite firm, which I guess makes sense because like the boxers have to be able to like run around on it. Like they can't be like stumbling all over the place. What I thought was more funny was you had to walk through an actual gym of like actual boxers and
real
wrestlers.
UFC fighters.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're UFC fighters, but like just people who like work out and like do that. Like you had to like walk maybe like 100 feet through that to get to the competition.
That's so funny.
So I remember like when I walked in the front door, I think the person at the desk like instantly pointed me like go back there because he could tell that why I was there. And I don't think it's just because of like the way I looked, but I hope it was also because like I had a Rubik's Cube in my hand or something.
Oh, okay.
But like I just thought it was funny because like I almost didn't have to say anything. He was just like, you go back there.
I was gonna say like the guy pulls up to you. It's like so. He just shows up in big burly. He's like, so what are you gonna work on today? I'm doing one-handed today.
I'm doing CBLL.
Oh, I'm gonna do some sexy moves.
Sexy moves.
My PLL trainer.
No, yeah. I guess like the word trainer could work for both.
Oh yeah.
It's like I need some trainers.
No. He's like, you can be like, yeah, I'm actually here with my PT. It's like, oh, you got a personal trainer? Oh no, sorry, the PLL trainer.
Oh, for PLL trainer, you're my PT.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm working on my OLL sets.
OLL sets.
Oh, true. Yeah.
No, I feel like we didn't talk. Like the two groups of people didn't talk to each other that much. Yeah. But I think it was. Actually, the reason why I think that competition was really memorable is because a lot of the people stayed in the Luxor, like the hotel.
Cool.
And like you had to stay like the day before and the day after the competition. Right. So like the competition was December 31st, but most people stayed into the new year. So like when the competition was over, everyone was trying to figure out like what should we do when the countdown hits 0.
That's right.
And I was with like Dan Pastushkov and Brendan Backer, I think.
Okay.
And I guess one of us had taken an Uber, and the Uber driver said, "Oh, the best place to watch fireworks in Las Vegas is on the 8th floor of that parking
That's right.
garage."
I remember because you were on top of something. It was a parking garage, I guess.
Yeah, I was on the top of a parking garage.
Huh.
And like I thought like that felt kind of lame, but then when we went up there, it actually was a pretty good view.
Damn.
And I felt like I'm glad I'm here, because most New Year's before that I'm just like with well, like with my family, which is
Right,
obviously
that's lame.
Well, no, obviously
I
like,
would never do that.
Yeah, so lame.
I know, like, you know, family above all else, but I do feel like it's fun to shake
It's
it
a
up.
unique experience, right?
Yeah, it's like fun to shake it up every now and then.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
So,
And you got
like-
to compete. So it's like a nice double, like a triple whammy or whatever, right? You got to compete
Yeah.
in a cool venue, and you got to experience New Year's with like a bunch of cubing friends.
And you get to watch people beat each other up.
That's true, yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll throw some of the footage in, I think, while in the edit, but it was really cool actually. Like you know, watching them like kind of like try and solve the cube in one hand, but also like trying to punch in the other. I think there were definitely rules, because I think there were no headshots allowed.
And no
Bodies.
headshots, and I think nothing below the waist.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Daniel talked about how afterward, like, I think he wanted to get more into MMA fighting in general, so it's already like a trial run of that.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, so I think just before that, I think Ludwig was doing the chess boxing stuff.
Was that before?
It was like a couple weeks before. So then when I saw Isaac and Dan like going at each other, I was like, cube boxing?
Cube boxing. Chess
Maybe.
cube boxing.
It might be an interesting
Chess cubing.
It might be an interesting. No, that's too.
No. Like the boxing has to be there to, like.
It has a balance.
It has a balance.
Chess cube boxing, maybe. But I was gonna say, like, I think cube boxing would be an interesting live event to spectate, an interesting event that could be live streamed, you could say.
Well,
Oh god.
you have to find a small select group of people willing to do both.
I'm down.
Let's
fight.
Hold up.
I don't think I'm
Let
down.
me call up my friend Ludwig, and we can get it figured out right now.
Yeah, there we go, man.
Yeah.
I hope one day, like, we can, you know, partner with Ludwig or something.
Actually, that would be-
that's
you know,
so cool.
I actually
one
think that
time
would-
He said, like, all content creators, like, DM me if you want a seat at. Oh no, it was at the chess boxing thing, and actually, like,
Oh yeah.
I tried DMing him, but like, you know, he probably gets thousands a day, so I'm not.
For sure.
I wasn't expecting a response,
Right.
but yeah.
Anyway, speaking of live streamed events, let's talk about BASC Live, huh, Chai?
Yeah, BASC Live, honestly, of all the competitions that we've talked about so far, I actually find that BASC Live is one of the less unique competitions, but it's the innovation, the evolution, the standard cubing competition, right?
Yep.
You know, we've talked about BASC Live a few times now, so you guys probably have a good idea of what we're doing for those competitions. Just building the competition schedule, making head-to-head finals, not just 3x3 head-to-head. Like when we did BASC 32 Live, we did 4x4 head-to-head finals, and I thought that was a fantastic time. Tons of people were interested, but not only that, we're gonna go even further with what it means to have a competition be a live stream experience. Like we're thinking of creating a competition where the winner might, you know, have an unofficial result. I don't want to actually go into too many details here, but imagine that you win based off of an entirely different system than the WCA system.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't want to spill too many secrets, but you know, we have some ideas in here, and we want to make sure that we can at the same time provide some great live stream content, create a great WCA competition, but also create a way to serve our local community, but also create a way to, you know, make WCC heavily involved in that.
Yeah. There's a lot of
actually
cool stuff.
Yeah. BASC Live will definitely be a huge project of ours. This year, we're doing 3 BASC Lives that we've already signed off on, spread out throughout the year. So you'll see those announced periodically, and you know, each time it's going to be slightly different. And who knows? You might see some sort of Iron Man match between, you know, your favorite cubers.
Yeah.
Who knows? You might
Ooh.
see some strange events being held. Did someone say FTO?
I was about to say that.
I don't want to, you know, I don't want to confirm anything, but I did want to say that it's just a different take from what it means to have a WCA competition
Yeah.
in the speed solving sets. Like, of course, you can have a competition in a house, in a yard, right? In Hawaii. But this is just, in my opinion, the evolution of speed cubing.
Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of the time, the WCA competition hasn't evolved. I'm trying to have it evolve to the next stage.
Right.
I want to go from Haunter to Gengar.
Exactly, and it takes like a major. It's gonna take a lot of work to get there, and I think that's what's really cool. I think about the BASC Live, and I think we'll see this more in the future. Also, I think we'll start to see like, you know, competitions that are kind of like this hybrid format. There's the official angle to it, right? So we're gonna have 3x3. So anyone who wants to compete in 3x3, you're more than welcome. If it's your first competition, welcome. If it's your 100th competition, hey, you know, you got 3x3 there. It's always gonna be the classic. We're gonna run a head-to-head finals. People are gonna get a result, and it's gonna be cool. But the great part is we have, you know, this extra chunk of like the half day to do something a little bit different, to maybe try and, you know, like, you know, just stir up a little bit of controversy, a little bit, you know, throw a little spice into the mixture that we already have. Try and stir the pot and see what we can come up with to create more interesting content, because, you know, cubing competitions are great, right? There's you get to meet a lot of new people, you get to compete with your friends, you get to compete against, you know, people on the other side of the planet, right? Which I think is really cool. And it all ends up like in one database, everyone is like together. But there are other angles that you can do that you can only do in like a setting, like an in-person setting. Something that, you know, you want to compete with someone else in your region, you know. So think if you're thinking Smash terms, think like PGR rankings, right? Something like that. You know, what if we have a WCC ranking, and, you know, that turns into some actual cash for cubers?
I mean,
there's a lot on the table. Having like this like unofficial events slot, right? We get 3-4 hours to do whatever we want. It just allows the creativity juices to flow. So
for sure.
I think.
I guess I was thinking of. Oh, what was it, Carrie?
I was just like, you know, the hints that you give out, like, are you know, sometimes they feel like more than hints, you know.
There's like this.
We're trying to be vague, but I think we're painting a good picture.
There's like this one like Kylie Jenner thing, right? Where she's like, I think she says something like, "Oh, I can't believe," or like, I was being very subtle. I wasn't dropping any hints at all. And then in the next like cut, like, I was dropping a lot of hints. That's us right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's what's happening. But it's like that's a good way to get people excited for what's to come.
Yeah.
And know that, like, you're innovating and trying new things.
Yeah, and, you know.
Yeah.
Chai, you were going to say something?
Yeah, no, I mean, you were just talking about all those experiences, Carrie, and how they really stood out to you. You know, these are unique competition experiences. And then for me, my favorite competition still stands out as one of the categories here. My favorite competition was definitely the Berkeley Quiet.
Berkeley.
Yeah, Berkeley Quiet. I think at the end of the day,
314. Yeah.
I view that competition not because of results. I just competed in FMC. Not even just because I was in, you know, your house at the time. But I found it for me, how we talked about like timeline and writing out our story in the previous episodes with like world records and stuff like that.
Right.
Your competition list is your story.
Yeah.
I feel like for all cubers, and especially the ones that were at Berkeley Quiet, that was the turning point. Our lives were completely different.
Yeah.
Life as we know it, different. Like 2023 life is different than 2019 life. I don't know how else to explain it. But there's something about the mental aspect that's completely shifted for me as an adult.
Yeah, you know, it's just crazy that like it was the end of an era in some sense, right? And the dawn of a new one. And I don't know, I feel kind of honored that it was that you
Was
know
that your
that was
place?
it was at my place of residence. Although it did not remain my place of residence for long. I think I moved out 3 days after. I will also
But
say
you get to claim ownership, I think.
yeah. Oh, totally. What the, it was definitely on mine.
Yeah.
I was the one who sent the email. I'm like, this is my address. I will also say that house that it was held in had a lot of character.
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah.
didn't it have like paintings on the wall?
Yes.
Like I remember like there was a painting.
You were
that-
there. I think the one before that one, right? Or
No,
were you-
I was at
no,
that
you were
one.
at that one. I remember because you
like,
forgot your umbrella.
Yeah, and then like, well, here's the thing. I don't care about umbrellas, but like my dad
Right, it was your dad's
really
umbrella.
really wanted this umbrella because he got it in Japan. But I sort of just thought like just buy another one. It's no big deal. But
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
you know, I mean, I it's just an umbrella, so it's no big deal. But I think yeah, that one I remember like. I recorded a video of me doing multi-blind there, and in the background you can see like these
that's
paintings
right,
on the
that's
wall,
right.
and like the kitchen. The people are scrambling in the kitchen, which is like a really small kitchen. So it felt like not just like a house, but like a house where like you had to get real cozy with each other to even fit.
There's a lot of personality, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of personality.
And you know, us, you know, I think we knew everyone else at that competition, right? So
Yeah, I remember like there's this guy named Ricky who was like
that's right. Yeah.
he was a Stanford student like 4 years younger than me.
Mhm.
So I remember I thought like, oh, I should, you know, be his mentor or something. But then it turns out like you don't really like spend that much time with like college students. Like you're not taking classes with.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, that competition was a turning point. Another for me, it was the moment that I like finally filled out my WCA profile.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
It was my FMC meme.
That's I think when you got silver, right?
I think the actual terms like changed. I think it is silver, but then like the Kinch Ranks website like stopped working.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
So now they use like the Mahler's rating or something.
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
And like that one it goes like bronze, silver, gold, opal, platinum, diamond.
Okay, I
And
think that's
yeah,
reasonable.
yeah. So I don't know where I rank on that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, Chai, like when you were saying that your like competition list is sort of your life story, that's sort of the reason why I try to encourage new cubers who think like they're not good enough to go to a competition.
Oh, you should go.
Like you should go when you're bad, because I think it's more inspiring when I see like a fast cuber and then you scroll to the bottom and you see they have like a competition from like 5 years ago where they were averaging like a minute.
Minute time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they go from a minute.
Every single cuber has that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
some people don't go to a competition until they're like sub 10, and like obviously that's fine too, but like the improvement, you just can't see it as
right.
much.
You can see it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I want people to like show themselves to the competitions even when they are, you know, humble beginners.
Yeah, totally, totally. The other thing I think which is really cool is, you know, we're talking about unique competitions, and those are like, you know, unique formats and stuff. But even going to unique places, I think is really cool, because one of my favorite things I like to do sometimes is I'll see a cuber who's gone to like 150 competitions, right? Hey, I click map,
Yeah.
and I just like seeing like where, like, you know, there's always
Oh.
clusters, like, you know, they live in this area, they're a delegate for this area, right? But there's always like random clusters that like end up in some place. I'm like, there's a story behind this, right? Like, why did you decide to go to Alaska to go to a speed cubing competition? What? Or like you competed in a different country? That's really cool. Like there's always like that stuff too. So I think that also builds up to like the uniqueness of like competitions, I think. And you know, like your cubing history, if you will.
Yeah. It sort of feels like the cubing perspective of something that people do where they put a pin on a globe
Yeah,
everywhere
exactly.
they've traveled.
Exactly.
But it's like not just on your globe, but in like the entire WCA database. You can see it for anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think there's like almost like a privacy violation when it's like like you see a circle around like you know, like a very small neighborhood, and then, like maybe like this is like a minor, so it's like you shouldn't know where they live, but you can narrow it down.
Wow, Carrie, it's amazing
yeah.
that you mentioned that. It sounds exactly like a topic for a future podcast episode.
Yeah. I mean, that's getting off the beaten path.
No. It's perfect because I think I mentioned this to Chai last year at some point. Like, we should really talk about this. And I think it's a big deal. If you're a minor, then you know, it kind of reveals your location to some degree. But in any case, I think during episode 21 we promised that we were gonna keep the podcast shorter. I think this one has gone on for like 40 plus minutes.
Yeah.
You know, sorry we went 10 minutes over. Hopefully you're... You know what? I hope you had traffic today during your commute so you could listen to the whole podcast. Wow, that sounds so terrible.
Oh God.
They love sitting in traffic and hearing our voices.
I guess it's better
Honk,
than...
honk.
I guess it's better than sitting in traffic and, listening to nothing. So, would you rather listen to, honk honk or listen to our silky voices?
Don't most people listen to like music or
the
news?
Music schmooze. Oh, imagine listening to the news. When
Music,
you can listen to us. The greatest speed giving podcast in the world.
We also give you news. Like you would have never have known about the camping competition.
Go sign up for the camping competition.
That is news, okay?
Yeah.
Who cares about like who the president is? It's all about where the camping comp is.
Exactly. So, yeah, with that, I think we've been talking far too long. But I hope you've had a great time listening to this episode. Hope you have a good rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. And gonna put a ribbon on this one. So thanks again to the hosts, and we will see you. I think we will see you next week. Yes, I think we will see you next week for the next episode, the next installment in the greatest speed cubing podcast in the world, Overinspected, right here on the CubersLive channel.
Bye.
Bye. Your was terrible.
Was it?